Hey, everybody, it's your boy Darrell Owens, and this is episode 118 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, as well as Bowie Television. Look, we're excited because week 14 is here, and we are a step closer to the playoffs. We're a step closer to the Super Bowl. We're a step closer to finding out who makes the play, all that fun stuff. But we got all that going on right now here on Bowie Television and on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. So, everybody tune in. Let's get it going. We've got a great episode ahead of us, and we got a lot to talk about and see where people stand and standings and all that other fun stuff and predictions for the week ahead. We got the Patriots and the Steelers tonight. The Patriots head into Pittsburgh. That ought to be a fun. Two teams that can't score over 15 points. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. It's 101 here on Bowie Television and the Legacy Maker Sports Network.
One, 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 one. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to 101 at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Welcome to 101. We are here today. Hey, all right. So we once again, everybody, thank you for joining for episode 118 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, Aaron on Bowie Television. We're excited to be here because it's week 14. We're in December. That means we're getting close to playoff football. We're getting close to the Super Bowl, all that good stuff, all that fun stuff. Very excited as we break it down a little bit more. We're getting a little bit closer to figuring out who's going to make the playoffs, what's going to happen, all that good stuff. So from this point on, pretty much from this point on, we just got some very intense football coming up over the next 2 months. So enjoy it, or a month and a half per se, but definitely enjoy it. And I can't wait to see how all of this funness kind of goes down. But with that being said, we got Patriots and Steelers tonight. We got a Patriots team, God bless them, that have not been able to win games, especially the last couple of weeks, where they have done something that hasn't been done in the NFL since 1938. Well, they've held opponents to 10 points or less and still lost the games. Hasn't happened since 1938. It's almost 100 years, ladies and gentlemen. It's like 85 years and some change. My math may not be mathing, but still, it's a long time. And anyway, with all that, let's go ahead and get into the bottom. All right, so bottom this week. Well, there's some changes in there. Maybe not a ton, but there are a couple moves here and there on the bottom. So this week for the bottom, starting at 32, and it feels like it's going to be this way to probably the rest of the season, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina, unfortunately, just ain't had it. They actually competed extremely well against the Buccaneers last week, losing 21-18. Just didn't happen. Buccaneers, who are 24th on our power ranking this week, and they were in the mix. Just couldn't happen. Just sometimes when you're struggling as a team, things like that just tend to happen. Shout out to Mike Evans, who scored on a 75-yard touchdown and got his 1,000-yard receiving for the 10th straight season. So that's 10 straight years of getting 1,000 receiving yards or more. Congratulations to Mike Evans. And in my opinion, he's a future Hall of Famer. I don't know if he gets first ballot, but he's definitely a future Hall of Famer. You don't do that in your career often. That doesn't happen often. So shout out to Mike Evans. But with that being said, the Panthers are where they are. They're 1-11. They don't even get to enjoy that draft pick. So they've got to figure a lot of things out in Carolina. And even though we would say that there's some other franchises that are a little bit more dysfunctional, but uh, even with that being said, it's really rough in Carolina right now. So it's tough to be a Panthers fan. They're at 32. At 31, the New England Patriots, another franchise that's struggling. Now, a lot of people probably have no sympathy for the New England Patriots because, well, guess what? The Patriots were great for a long, long time. And people would look at New England and say, man, forget that. Y'all are all right. Y'all will be fine. All those years of Super Bowls, 6 Super Bowls, and they pretty much dominated the first 2 decades of the 2000s. And so it's hard for you to feel bad for the Patriots or their fan base or whatever way you want to put it. But it's been rough. We talked about a few minutes ago, not being able to win games, especially when you've had the advantage in certain situations. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Where your defense is playing well and your offense is just saying, well, look, we're not coming today. And that's what it's been like for the New England Patriots. But that's another team that right now have a top 5 pick. And, they actually have a top 5 pick, could end up getting the number 1 pick depending on how things go. But we'll see. New England's at 31. At 30, the Arizona Cardinals getting a win over the Steelers. The Steelers team who lost Kenny Pickett in the game due to injury. James Conner said, hey, I'm back, baby. He comes back where he got drafted. 25 carries, 105 yards, put up a couple TDs, looked great for Arizona. And you know what? When I look at this Arizona team that have both a healthy Connor and Murray, even though they don't have all the other stars, this team is formidable. And so it's one of those things that you say to yourself, like, man, maybe they can, if they had got everything going early in the season, maybe they could have figured it out. But unfortunately, just not the case. The Cardinals are number 30, but I still think they're going to, do some things to, maybe shock a couple people throughout the rest of the season. They're on a bye this week. Speaking of the bye week, the other team on the bye this week, the Washington Commanders, 4-9 on the season. They're number 29. And let me tell you something. They played the Dolphins last week. I was there. As you know, I do photography there for Bowie. And it was hard to watch. I really felt bad for the fan base. They really deserve a winner in Washington. And I know a lot of the fans are probably, got a sick taste in their mouth. They're, trying to give Josh Harris and Magic some time to kind of build that thing. A lot of them don't feel that way because, hey, they look at it like we've suffered long enough and they want immediate action. But I think if you're a Commanders fan, you just got to give it time to let them figure out how they want to approach things. It's kind of a tough situation to just come in and just let loose. I think they really wanted to have a whole year a whole season to evaluate what is going on there before they make any decisions. And so the offseason will be extremely interesting in Washington. And of course, here on Bowie Television, we will be able to bring you that coverage. So just be on the lookout for what we have going on there between now and the offseason up until next season. Tough loss to the Dolphins. It was rough, 45-15. Second straight week where they gave up 45 points. They've been outscored 90-25 in their last 2 games. It's just tough. Just tough. Commanders at 29. At 28, the Chicago Bears. The Bears were on a bye last week, but they were coming off of a win. So, kudos to the Bears, and they're trying to figure things out. They still have a shot in the NFC to make the playoffs. That 7 seed is a little bit tight out there right now in the NFC. So, and the AFC as well, but it's really weird. The Bears are still in it. The Giants are still in it. The Saints are still in it. These 5 and some of these teams at the bottom still have a chance to make the playoffs. But we got the Bears at 28. At 27, the Tennessee Titans. Titans, tough matchup against the Colts. Were in the mix, had a chance. I thought they were going to win the game, and Minshew and the crew were able to get their 4th straight win. And the Titans, in the midst of troubles, fall to 4-8. Derrick Henry, had a throwback game, 21 carries, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Bad thing for Henry, though. I don't know if I can't remember if he's in concussion protocol, but he's got some things going on right now. So Tennessee is just, still trying to get it together. Levis and D-Hop were arguing on the sideline. It was a lot for Tennessee. They're at 27. At 26, the New York Football Jets. Um, this game was ugly. 20 points total scored. The Jets had 8. The Falcons had 13. Um, there's not a lot to say about this game. This game was just really ugly. It's getting worse, and I don't know 100% where the Jets prospects are making the playoffs, but I know it's real slim, and they're gonna have to win this week against the Texans for any hope that Aaron Rodgers will actually play against the Commanders. Um, I think that maybe not even this week. I think they still have another game before then, so they've got to find a way to win one or two of those games to try to make it even relevant for Aaron Rodgers to come out and try to play any football for the Jets anytime this season. They're at 26. At 25, the New York Giants, a team that is in the mix for the playoff spot right now. They have a chance. They have a legit chance to make the playoffs. And they got a team in Green Bay this week that they play. That if they can win that game, it puts them in a better place. Green Bay right now 6-6 and have the 7th seed in the NFC. So this is a big win. And the Giants are playing a couple teams that are ahead of them in the standings, and they can make some leeway. So we'll see if Tommy DeVito, aka Matilda's dad, can make things happen. We got the Giants at 25. At 24, of course, we talked about the Buccaneers and their win over the Panthers. 23, the New Orleans Saints. Boy, oh boy, this Saints team, this is really hard to watch. I know, and Derek Carr is going through the motions. He has been nicked up, injured, you name it this year. It's been really ugly. But their offense has been weird. Like, it'll be games where it's like, man, what is this? And in some games, they'll be like, oh, they're in there. But more often, it's been like, what is this? And so they're 5-7, but yet they still have a chance to make the playoffs. Why? Because the NFC South is absolutely terrible. As you can see, 3 of those teams are in the bottom. One who's right might as well be in the bottom. They're sitting in the outside looking in preview. They're right there, but it's rough. It's rough. So Saints at 23, 22, the Raiders. Raiders were on a bye last week, so not too much to talk there, but they still have playoff aspirations. I hope I said that correctly. And they're going to still try to see what they can do in the upcoming weeks. They got the Vikings this week, so that's going to be really critical for those twinge playoff teams. Talking about twinge playoff team, the San Diego Chargers. That's right. I'm not calling them LA. The San Diego Chargers are struggling, and it's hard to watch. It's really been because when you got Justin Herbert and they're performing the way they're performing, and Brandon Staley's job is dangling right now in LA. So they've got to figure something out there. But there it is. There's the bottom. We got Panthers, Patriots, Cardinals, Commanders, Bears, Titans, Jets, Giants, Bucks, Saints, Raiders, and Chargers. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was the bottom for this week. Like I said, there's a couple teams in there that have playoff aspirations and actually have a chance to make the playoffs. Go figure, right? So we'll see. But now we go head to the outside looking in, and there's a lot of teams in the mix in that bad boy. So let's head to the outside looking in. All right, outside looking in. And this week, sitting at number 20, the Atlanta Falcons. And that other team, they might as well be in the bottom. And the Atlanta Falcons have somehow, just found a way to be relevant at 6-6. I mean, look, they beat Green Bay, so that's a little salt on my end. But they're in there. They have the division lead. Right now they have a home playoff game if they can hold on tight. Ugly win against the Jets, but they figured it out. And so right now the Falcons are doing whatever they can to keep things rolling. So touche to the Falcons, much love to them, and see if they can use the young talent around them to who knows, sneak a playoff win, make the playoffs. Arthur Smith, come on, too much young talent to not being able to figure that bad boy out. But you need a quarterback too, so that is what it is. All right, Falcons at 20. At 19, the Denver Broncos 5-game winning streak comes to an end. To the Texans, 22-17. And to be honest with you, this felt like the Broncos from earlier in the season. Even though they were in the mix, if that's what the game felt like. And they had to make a little bit of a run to kind of get back into the game. And they were down 16. They were down 16-10 heading into the fourth. and they had chances, but it just wasn't enough. And the Texans go on to get the dub, and C.J. Stroud and the boys are just a game back in the AFC South. Broncos at 19. At 18, the Minnesota Vikings. Now the Vikings were on a bye last week, so we didn't get a chance to see them play. But they right now are holding on to the 6th seed in the NFC, and their oh so familiar foe, the Green Bay Packers, is right there. They're waiting for them. Next, at 17, we got the Bengals, who came in and got a big win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and probably a unexpected win, especially with Jake Browning being at quarterback. But Browning had a great day for the Bengals. 354 yards and a TD. Mixon had his great day, 19 carries, 68 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He passed the 6,000-yard mark, and now I believe it's number 8 all time or number 5 all time in the Bengals history. Jamar Chase made some history himself, being the first receiver to, or maybe the 8th or 9th. I'm wrong on the numbers, but it hasn't happened often. But to start his first 3 seasons with 1,000 yards, so he's only 7 behind Mike Evans. He's only 7 behind Mike Evans, but great day for the Bengals overall. Tough day for the Jaguars because you lose Trevor Lawrence, and you don't want that. And he's got a high ankle sprain, and they're trying to figure out. I hope he doesn't try to go this week, but they said it could be 3 weeks. So the Jaguars are really going to have to try to tough this thing out because they got a healthy C.J. Stroud, and then you got a Colts team that's won 5 straight. So we'll see. At number 16, the Seattle Seahawks, who are free falling right now. Seattle is struggling, and they're truly struggling because this team were looking good a couple weeks ago. They were looking really good a couple weeks ago. They've lost 3 straight games. They were sitting at 6-3, and things were looking good. But then they took on the Rams, the Cowboys, and the 49ers. 49ers game was a beatdown. Cowboys game was a battle. The Rams game was a battle, but it just wasn't enough. Geno got hurt in that Rams game. So Seattle right now is just they're on the outside looking in of the playoffs, but they're still in the mix, and they still could make it. So it's tough. But that game against Dallas was a tough blow for them as they lose their 3rd straight game with the 49ers being their next opponent. So it could be a 4th straight game, and Seattle could be low-key free-falling. Seahawks at 16. At 15, the Rams. The Rams are looking pretty decent. And they're doing the opposite thing right now that the that the Seahawks are doing. The Rams were struggling at one point, and now they have kind of gotten their groove a little bit, and they're trying to figure some things out. They've won 3 straight games, starting with that Seattle game, wins over the Cardinals and the Browns, and of course the Seahawks. And they have the Ravens this week, so it's a big week for the Rams. If they can win that game, that's going to put them in a really good spot, especially with them being that team right on the cusp of making the playoffs. The Vikings lose, who knows? They jump into the spot. The Packers lose, they jump into the spot. Who knows? Rams are at 15. 14, the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are on a bye this week, still coming off that devastating loss to the Eagles a couple weeks ago, a game they should have won. But, once again, they're a team that is on the outside looking in the playoffs, trying to figure out what they can do or what they need to do to get in the playoffs. And right now, here's the thing. If Buffalo makes the playoffs as a 7 seed, they're going to be one of the most dangerous 7 seeds. You do not want them to come in as a 7 seed, especially if you're the 2 seed, because Buffalo can win that game. So it's going to be a problem if Buffalo sneaks in at 7 or 6, especially at 7. Now, if you're the 2 seed, I'd be like, nah, bro, not at all. At 13, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, who are currently on a 3-game winning streak, have won 4 out of their last 5, are trying to make a playoff push. Currently, right now, they're the 7th seed in the NFC. A big win over the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, 27-19 in Green Bay. And Jordan Love is playing flawless. That's me knocking on wood. But it's a good run right now for Jordan Love and this young Packers team. Youngest offense in the NFL, youngest team in the NFL. And they're right now trying to see if they can figure things out and make the playoffs. But we shall see. Packers at 13. At 12, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is in a weird place right now because with Kenny Pickett going down, they bring in Trubisky in that Cardinals game, but it just wasn't enough. And a team that cannot get things going offensively. Now, they had a great game the last week where they had 400 yards, total yards, but this week it reverted, and it was not a good week for Pittsburgh. They cannot find ways to score. So, but they're at 12 right now, and they still have that shot to make the playoffs, and we'll see what they can do. At 11, the Browns. The Browns, obviously, without Deshaun Watson, still trying to figure things out. They bring in Joe Flacco. This game was actually against the Rams was actually a really competitive game at one point, and then the Rams broke away late. But this Browns team, I think having Flacco there, giving them that veteran quarterback, will be a good thing for them long term. I think they will be able to figure out and still potentially make the playoffs. They still have an extremely good defense, so we'll see. This is the outside looking in. The Falcons, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Bengals, Seahawks, Rams, Bills, Packers, Steelers, and Browns. So the outside looking in is starting to look a little bit tight. There's a lot of playoff battles going on between there. Who's going to make the playoffs? We'll see. I mean, we got a couple of weeks left in the season, and we're going to find out who's going to make that stretch run. And now it's time for the top 10. All right, top 10 this week. There is a new number one, ladies and gentlemen. There is a new number one. But in the top 10 this week, first we got the Indianapolis Colts, winners of 4 straight games. They're doing really good things right now, and it's hard to look past the season that this Colts team is having. Yeah, they're 7-5. They lose their starting quarterback early, but guess what? They never let that affect them. They have a great backup in Gardner Minshew, and they've been able to tough out some games. But they've won 4 straight games, and they are in the top 10. So congratulations to the Indianapolis Colts. Now, real observation real quick, the AFC South, who I would think would be one of the weaker teams. I thought the AFC South would be one of the weaker divisions like the NFC South, but they have proven wrong. They have been competitive, and as you can see, 3 of them in the top 10, solidifying spots 8, 9, and 10. Speaking of 9, the Houston Texans, and they are looking really good right now. Tough loss last week, but a nice bounce back win against the Broncos. And the Texans could be the leader in this division right now if they could have found a way to maybe make that field goal last week and figure it out in overtime. But hey, it is what it is. But they have a chance right now, them and the Colts, with the injury to Trevor Lawrence for Jacksonville, to see if they can surpass them and maybe win this division. So a team that, from worst to first, you can say with the Texans, they've got a chance. So do the Colts. So it'll be a battle, and a good win for the Texans against the Broncos at home. And now this week they got the Jets, so they got a chance to, move up on that, especially with a Jets team that is struggling to score. Texans at 9, Jaguars at 8, Jacksonville losing to the Bengals on Sunday. And like I said, losing Trevor Lawrence is the biggest part of that. And they had chances to win that game, and it just didn't materialize. It was just a great overall game for the Bengals. They just couldn't make it happen. But now they got to try to navigate without Trevor Lawrence for the next couple of weeks. Jacksonville's at 8. At 7, the Kansas City Chiefs losing to the Green Bay Packers made me feel great. Did not see this happening, but this is a really tough spot for Kansas City because they got the Bills this week. And that's not an easy one. That's a big rivalry between the two teams. And somehow, once again, it's in Kansas City. But I feel like, Josh and them will come to play. And we'll see. But Kansas City's sitting at 7. They're still in a good spot in the playoffs. I don't see them not making the playoffs. Chiefs at 7. At 6, the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are coming off a nice win against the Seahawks. Dak Prescott is making his case for MVP. Yes, that's right. Dak Prescott is making his case for MVP. He's having a really good season, y'all. And yes, there'll be people, including myself, that say, hey, he's beating up on teams that are not as good. So you got to beat the team that's put in front of you. And as long as he's doing his job, he's doing his job. And right now the Cowboys are in a spot that if they can beat the Eagles this week, they jump into the lead in the NFC East. So we'll see. At number 5, the Detroit Lions, who bounced back from the loss to the Packers to beat the Saints 33-28 and get back on the right track. They're 9-3 in control in the NFC North. And right now, they hoping things go their way that they can move either up to the number 2 seed, but we'll see how things go with the Dallas and Detroit game. I mean, the Dallas and Philadelphia game this week. So Detroit's going to be looking, especially with them taking on the Bears, to maybe move up a spot in that playoff picture. At number 4, we got the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins demolished the Commanders 45-15. 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill had 5 receptions, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was an honor to see Tyreek Hill in person. That team is good. But they're another team like Dallas that have only really beat teams that they beat up on the teams that maybe not so good. So we're going to see if they can also figure it out. But right now, the Dolphins are the 1 seed in the AFC. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles, tough loss. But for the first time in 5 or 6 weeks, they're not number 1 on our countdown. That will belong to the team that defeated them, the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers did it with not zeal, because zeal is probably the wrong word, but they did it with elegance, 42-19. Brock Purdy looking great, 4 touchdowns. He had 4 touchdowns, 314 yards passing. McCaffrey had 17 carries, 93 yards, and a TD. Deebo Samuel had 4 receptions, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was just a beatdown in Philly. But those type of games to me always kind of happen when you have a team that wants revenge for the way they lost the season before, and it seems to always that they play the next season, the other team finds a way to win. That's just my perspective. I could be wrong on that stats-wise, but that's just the way it always feels. So, and then the Ravens, who are on a bye, are at number 2 this week. So 49ers number 1. Here it is, your top 10. Colts, Texans, Jaguars, Chiefs, Cowboys, Lions, Dolphins, Eagles, Ravens, and number 1 for the second time this season, the San Francisco 49ers. All right, so there it is. That's our power ranking heading into week 14. But we'll go and finish this episode up with the finale. All right, so finale for our week 14. We're going to go over some fun stuff real quick before we end this episode. And once again, we thank everybody for tuning in here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and, of course, on Bowie Television. So let's go ahead and get into it. Our players of the week for last week: Nico Collins, 9 catches, 191 yards, a TD, and a 22-17 win over Denver. Anton Winfield Jr., the defensive player of the week, 8 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, a 21-18 victory over North Carolina, over the Carolina Panthers in the MVP race. Right now, for me, this is where it is. I know it's been fluctuating the last couple of weeks, but each week something changes for me. I got McCaffrey at 1, Tyreek Hill at number 2, Lamar Jackson at 3, Purdy at 4, and Stroud at 5. And I know some people are not going to like that, but it is what it is. That's why I have it right now. In our NFL Pick'ems League, as you see right now, my man Russ leading the way in the All-Star division with 128 wins. He's trying to lock in that 1 seed. In the Legends division, myself, I'm sitting there number 2 behind James. He's leading the way right now. If the playoffs started today, this is where we stand. I'm that 5 seed. I'd have to take on Ty. Christina would have to take on Victor. Russ and James would have buys, but we'll see how that ends up. I think I still got a chance to steal that 1 seed, that number 2 seed from James. I'm not going to catch Russ. So we'll see how that goes. Playoff standings right now, if they started right now, the Dolphins are the 1 seed in the AFC. The number 2 seed Ravens would take on the Colts. The number 7 seed. The number 3 seed Chiefs would take on the Browns with the number 6 seed. The number 4 seed Jacksonville Jaguars would take on the number 5 seed Pittsburgh Steelers. In the NFC, the Eagles, bam, they're the 1 seed. The number 2 seed, San Francisco 49ers, would take on the number 7 seed Green Bay Packers. The number 3 seed, Detroit Lions, would take on the number 6 seed Minnesota Vikings. And the number 4 seed, Atlanta Falcons, would host the Dallas Cowboys, who are the number 5 seed. Now, speaking of tonight's game, I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Defeating the New England Patriots 10-6. You might as well keep the trend going. The Patriots cannot beat teams, even though they hold them to 10 points, and I think that continues this week. My winners that I have for this week, I got the Steelers, the Bucks, the Colts, the Browns, the Browns, the Texans, the Ravens, the Lions, the Panthers, Raiders, 49ers, Bills, Broncos, Eagles, Packers, and Dolphins. Now, I didn't get a chance to show you my record. I'm going to go back because I left that graphic out for some weird reason. But my record last week was 120. My overall record is 120-73. I won on 11 games last week. Almost had the perfect week, but I picked against the Packers and I picked against the Bengals. So I was 11-0 heading into the Sunday night game, and then everything went astray. All right, everybody, that is it for episode 118 of One-on-One here on the Legacy Makers Sports Network and, of course, on Bowie Television. Truly appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll be back for episode 119 next week in the sexiest week of the year. That's right, sexiest week of the year. Your boy's birthday is next Friday, so I'm a December baby, and I hyped the whole month up. So we're going to get it going for next week. Once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in to One-on-One on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and Bowie Television. I hope you enjoy, and we'll catch you all next week.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the